You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? Just because I walk as if I have oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I rise.
Juneteenth will be a paid holiday for Greensboro City employees next year. The Greensboro City Council unanimously approved the paid holiday. Juneteenth is the oldest known commemoration of the end of slavery in the United States. It celebrates when enslaved people in Texas found out that they were free in 1865. That's actually 2.5 years after President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation.
Juneteenth is something that we discuss in a historical form, but as far as the recognizing of liberty, the recognizing of the African American experience, that's an everyday thing, not just focusing on that one particular event, but understanding that it's a spirit, that it's a culture, that it's what we are.
Juneteenth is one of those things to me that kind of reminds me of like Kwanzaa or like Thanksgiving in a Black household. It lasts for longer than it's supposed to, but it can never be on one day.
For me, it's something that we need to start embracing and using more, not just because they said back in 2017 or 18 that we could start celebrating. But it's just something we need to kind of be, embracing because it's something we just didn't know. I personally didn't know a lot about till I got older.
That spirit of liberty, that spirit of essentially taking your own freedom is what happens all the time. I was thinking about the civil rights movement, any type of revolution, we take our own freedom. Even going back before that with people escaping enslavement, I take my own liberty. You don't have to tell me, I take it.
Yeah, I think Juneteenth is one of those things that if you look at our communities and our culture, no matter where you come from, of course there's no singular Black community, but it reminds me of the essence. Right.
I mentioned courage, and I would like to say something else about that. Finding courage in the leaders and in you who will become leaders. Courage is the most important of all the virtues, because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. You see? You can't be consistently kind or fair or humane or generous, not without courage. Because if you don't have it, sooner or later you'll stop and say, the threat is too much, the difficulty is too high, the challenge is too great.
I feel like Black people can definitely always make the best out of like bad situations. Like they take, so much, and you like channel it like right back into being better.
Black people aren't just Black people. We're also human beings. We're smart. We're in the same category, same playing field as everybody else.
As Black women, as women, we don't know our power. And I'm still learning it, so it's kind of fun in all areas.
The most successful thing you could ever have is just being able to provide for people who can't provide for themselves. So you gotta make people around you successful. Like, if you on the team, you gotta make the whole team better. It's not just a one person out there, it's a whole team.
I'm successful in watching other people take from what I've given them, said to them, or poured into them, succeed. I'm successful in watching that in classrooms full of children, Sunday school, children that come back and say, hey, I remember, yeah, hey.
There's an African-American song, 19th century, which is so great. It says, when it looked like the sun wasn't gonna shine anymore, God put a rainbow in the clouds. Imagine. And I've had so many rainbows in my clouds. I had a lot of clouds, but I have had so many rainbows. And one of the things I do when I step up on a stage, when I stand up to translate, when I go to teach my classes, when I go to direct a movie, I bring everyone who has ever been kind to me with me. Black, white, Asian, Spanish-speaking, Native American, gay, straight, everybody. I say, come with me. I'm going on the stage. Come with me, I need you now. Long dead, you see? So I don't ever feel I have no help. I've had rainbows in my clouds. And the thing to do, it seems to me, is to prepare yourself so that you can be a rainbow in somebody else's cloud. Somebody who may not look like you, may not call God the same name you call God, if they call God at all. You see? And may not eat the same dishes prepared the way you do, may not dance your dances or speak your language, but be a blessing to somebody.
But my community has always been full of teachers, and now I'm an educator. So, my fourth grade teacher, we was moving back and forth. We was real homeless at that time too, and that was the first time when I was 9 years old that I became, I recognized myself as suicidal. And every day I would come to school and she would really she knew, you know? And as a 9-year-old, you don't be knowing that the certain things that people are doing to you and you're affirming yourself could really take you out, but you think that's what has to happen. And Miss Tim Tong, she was definitely a teacher that made me become the teacher I am today. And then Mr. Arrington in 8th grade. I'm so happy. Mr. Arrington in 8th grade, every day. It was a lot of, I guess what the people on Twitter would call sex work now, going on in 8th grade. So, and my parents didn't really know anything at that time either. They were struggling with bills, and I never wanted to ask for money for anything. And I didn't want to ask my sister either, who was nearby, but not necessarily knowing. Mr. Arrington would help me use my body in ways that wasn't hurting me. And I was on the step team. And I would stay after school instead of going home, so I didn't have to do a lot of stuff. And then Dudley High School came. And those are my favorite people in the world.
My dad teaches me a lot of things because before he was an entrepreneur, my dad didn't go to college. He had the best grades, but he made his own way. He had a cleaning business. He had multiple cleaning businesses, a large cleaning business. He truck driver, truck company manager. He always made something happen. He knew if he lost his job, he'd have another one by 5 p.m. So he got to make a way.
There's a place in you that you must keep inviolate. You must keep it pristine, clean, so that nobody has the right to curse you or treat you badly. Nobody, no mother, father, no wife, no husband, nobody. Because that may be the place you go to when you meet God. You have to have a place that you say, stop it, back up.
Not
you
here.
Must
you
not, no.
No.
Absolutely. And that's one I told you 25 years ago.
Yes.
Say no when it's no.
Yeah.
Say so. Back it up. Because that place has to remain clean and clear.
And that has to be a place within yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
As a black woman, this is before being married too, as black women, we just saw that Superwoman mentality, that we're strong, don't let them see you cry, don't let them ever see you shiver or be, let them look at you weak. My weakness will never show from me looking weak. My strongest points are when I'm at a low point and you trying to come at me, but that low point, I'm gonna come back at you. I'm not gonna fight, I'm gonna let you know, this is the way it's gonna go, and if you're not gonna deal with this, you need to move on, because this is not gonna happen. So no fighting, we don't have to fight.
I feel like especially in certain communities that it's so unspoken about, like it's like a forbidden conversations, to talk about things like depression and anxiety, like going to therapy and like seeking help. So I wish that, going through my high school that I had that opportunity, come out and say, I'm going through this and I'm struggling. Like, I feel like there were so many times when, I was physically showing or like emotionally showing that, I was mentally, mentally out of all over the place. But there were so many times when I couldn't, I was just afraid to say, I'm going through this or this is what's happening, directly. So there were definitely times when, I was on the verge of, giving up. But as much as I hate to say it, because I hate the saying that trauma makes you who you are, I definitely don't believe that trauma should be what builds you. I feel like people don't need to experience traumas, to become better. I definitely am who I am today because of a lot of what I've taught myself, a lot of what I've gone through, and a lot of what goes on around me.
I believe that self-love is very important. If you read my work, I'm always talking about loving oneself. I never trust anybody who tells me he or she loves me if the person doesn't love herself or himself. There's an African saying which is, be careful when a naked person offers you a shirt. I mean, if he had something, he'd cover himself first, right? So I like to look at self-love. It is very important that it comes from within, that you have a sense of yourself, so that when you walk into an office, you don't go alone. Bring your people with you. Bring everybody who has loved you with you. Say, Grandma, come on, let's go. Great-grandpa, you've been dead all this time. Come on, let's go. I have to go in here and have an interview. Come on, Auntie. Come on, my friends. Come, let's go. And when you walk in, people don't know what it is about you. They can't take their eyes off you. You may not be cute in the given sense. You may not be fashion model size in that particular sense. You may not be any of those things, but they can't take their eyes off you. And they say of you in this incredible way, which I don't understand, they say, I don't know, but she has charisma. No, what you have is all those people around you. So think of that. Anytime you have anything to do, bring everybody with you that you can remember who has loved you.
How I grew up allowed me to see the best in everyone. It gave me a foundation of optimism that allows me to see beauty when others may not see it.
And I think people are also really afraid to open up and be able to recognize, not everyone out there is, against you. There's some people out there who are willing to help you, willing to do anything they can to make you feel like you're safe, make you feel like you're, in a good place.
No, so that said, from the moment my grandma passed away and I had to be about 3 years old, I felt like everything was a failure after that. I felt like everything everybody tried to do, every hug, every kiss, every moment was simply a downfall. But then she started coming to me in my dreams and I would keep watching The Wiz. And I realized that this movie I would watch every day, my whole life, it was nothing more than me dancing to these scenes and knowing all these words and believing in myself and knowing I had a home in myself and in the people around me. That helped me realize that I was always on the right track and always on my yellow brick road.
I'm gonna take it back to this individual that I had a full-on heated argument with about the power of educators here in this building, that it's not about equality, it's about equity, because everyone deserves an opportunity.
I don't believe that trauma should be what builds you. I feel like people don't need to experience trauma. I want my legacy to definitely include having an open door. I definitely learned that from my grandma. She lived in Queens, New York. Everyone always called her grandma because her door is always open. Literally her front door is always open. And, you know, she was always welcome to everybody, you know, raising people, helping people, giving them food. And I think her biggest thing was that she always knew to put herself in someone else's shoes and to, you know, to always realize, you know, there's always something going on behind closed doors. So to be like the best person she could be, she was always like very compassionate and, you know, very like caring and, you know, very open and, you know, like wholeheartedly, like she always like, you know, like she was always like very helpful and she always knew that, you know, she was always going to be there for somebody.
So I think that's an interesting question. I think that being selfless is the highest form of love.
I would definitely tell them that, you know, like things aren't easy. You know, life isn't, you know, as perfect as anyone makes it seem. You know, there's nothing wrong with, you know, like, there's nothing wrong with failure. As long as, you know, you always remember to, you know, like, come back and, you know, like, make yourself better. You know, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to, you know, go through things, you know, as long as you're willing to get help and you're always willing to, you know, like, channel who you are into being better. I would definitely say that it is important to always take care of yourself. Make sure that you're in a good mind state before, you know, ever putting yourself in like a stressful situation.
Yes, and knowing that wellness doesn't come from one physical or mental or spiritual place, but the combination of all.
Learn something new every day, even if you don't realize it.
Even though sometimes you gotta take that moment, cry a little bit, get it out the way, but you always gotta keep going because nobody else cares about you the way you care about yourself.
I celebrate my ancestors by knowing that even on my worst days, something was done for me. So acknowledging that I deserve the space to have worse days because there's been worse days. I celebrate my ancestors by knowing that they exist, acknowledging that they exist. I celebrate my ancestors by calling on their names when I pray. And I pray to them and for them. And I celebrate my ancestors by knowing that they're not perfect and healing myself and helping heal them through everything I do. And last but not least, I celebrate my ancestors by being me in every possible way that I can be, because that's all I got. That's all we got.
And you don't have to work so hard that you're exhausted, but embrace what you're doing, enjoy that, and every teacher is not in the classroom. You can learn, you know, on the street, you can learn at church, you can learn at school, you can learn at your job.
My advice is don't think that you have time. You never have enough time. You always gotta start way before it ever begins. Your time is already clicking as soon as you're born. You don't have time. Time is not on your side. You gotta get it done as soon as possible.
Whatever it is that I experience, be it painful, I can learn from it. Learning from that pain then turns into empathy, which then allows me to feel the pain of other people. And then I'll know what to do to help alleviate that for them. So I fully embrace the opportunity to extend grace. I embrace the opportunity to give people a second chance, a third chance, or however many chance is needed, because that's something that God offers us every single day. It's not deserved. It's not something that we earn. It's something that He grants us.
I want you to know that you are worthy of each and every good thing in this world, and you already are that, okay?
Throughout my life, I put an emphasis on always being better, always striving for better, always striving, you know, to do what I can and do what I can do best. You know, I'm not perfect. I'm not Superwoman, but I am perfect to my own extent.
I'm all right with myself, and I take care of myself. I make sure I'm all right to be able to take care of other people. If I wasn't all right, I don't think I would be able to take care of other people, because I would be just telling people what I want to hear somebody tell me.
And I think, now what would Grandma do? What would she say? I can almost hear her voice say, now, sister, you know what's right. Just do right. You don't really have to ask anybody. The truth is, right may not be expedient. It may not be profitable, but it will satisfy your soul. It brings you the kind of protection that bodyguards can't give you. Try to be all you can be, to be the best human being you can be. Try to be that in your church, in your temple. Try to be that in your classroom. Do it because it is right to do. You see, people will know you, and they will add their prayers to your life. They'll wish you well. I think if your name is mentioned and people say, oh, hell, oh, damn, I think you're doing something wrong. But if your name is mentioned and people say, oh, she's so sweet, he's so nice, oh, I love, oh, God bless her. There you are. So try to live your life in a way that you will not regret years of useless virtue and inertia and timidity. Take up the battle. Take it up. It's yours. This is your life. This is your world. I'll be leaving it long before you under the ordinary set of circumstances. You make your own choices. You can decide life isn't worth living. And that would be the worst thing you can do. How do you know? So far. Try it. See. So pick it up. Pick up the battle and make it a better world. Just where you are.